from England to Johannesburg. There.
Right.
I then got the Land Rover, an ex-English Army 101 forward control with a trailer, a Sankey trailer with 5 passengers. The owner was going to be the driver. His friend was going to be in charge of the passports and visas and organising where to stay and cooking the meals. So we duly set off with that and carried on. We went into Botswana, across, all the way around Botswana, up to the Caprivi Strip, into Zimbabwe, to Vic Falls, then went into to Zambia, and then about Zambia, Lusaka, the owner, who was a driver, had an argument with his friend who was doing the cooking, catering and organising things, so his friend left. About 2 weeks later, the owner had a disagreement with the passengers and he left. He told me then to carry on. He asked me if I could drive it back to England, and I said I could. I said, which way do you want me to go? And he got some paper and drew a rough map. He said, that way. I said, okay. And give me 1,500 US to carry on. So I was then the driver, the mechanic, the guide, organising visas, passports and everything, and I'd done nothing before. Only thing I'd done before is driven at one of these Land Rovers and repaired them. So then we set off, going up and up, round, up into Kenya. We got into Nairobi, tried to get the visa then for Ethiopia, but there was having a war. It was a dry season. Every dry season they fight with Eritrea. In the wet season they stop, because it's too bad to fight. So they're all friends. So then we couldn't get the visa for Ethiopia. I tried to get one for Sudan, couldn't get one for Sudan. So I contacted him, I was still in Kenya, and he said, take the Land Rover back all the way down to Johannesburg, and people will have to fly back, and I'll have to fly back. So I set off then from Kenya and didn't go straight back. I went all the way around, across here, Caprivi Strip, into Namibia, round Namibia, all the way around, and then into South Africa and back to Johannesburg. Then the passengers went back home. I then had to leave the Land Rover at a place near Johannesburg where he told me to, and where I actually picked it up from. But the man didn't know that where I had to leave it, he was my friend. And he comes from Colding, Ebden Bridge, and he's called Alan Brandon. His father's called John Brandon. And I left it there. So then I rang my wife up and I said, get my son Jason to service my bike, make a box and put all my equipment in and send it out to Johannesburg, which she did. Then I set off, and when I went to drive the Land Rover back, that was going to be 4 months I thought I was going for. But when I got the bike, I didn't set off from Johannesburg and go home. I thought, I'm so near the bottom, I'll go down to the bottom. So I went down to Cape Town and to the point here, which is the most southernest point in Africa, and went all across here, Port Elizabeth, East London, up into Swaziland, up here Swaziland, and into Mozambique, then came back into South Africa, around into Namibia, and then went round into Botswana, up into Zambia, up Lake Zambia, upland Zambia, back down again into Monkey Bay, wherever Monkey Bay is, and then up Monkey Bay, then up here, I got on a boat here, and then up to Tanzania, came up Tanzania, went to Zanzibar, up, then into Uganda, here, and I thought I went into Rwanda a bit, but not much. Come back out, and I thought I might be able to sneak into Sudan, because I knew I couldn't get a visa from Kenya, and I couldn't get in, so I came back, and then I went back into Uganda, Kenya, round Kenya, into Ethiopia, and then it took me about a month to get a visa for Ethiopia, but in that time I rode all the way around Ethiopia to Lalibela and Gondor here, and then I sneaked into Sudan. I did get a visa for Sudan, but they conned me. I couldn't get a travel permit, so it was useless. So I went in without one, and that didn't stop me. And then I carried on into Sudan. I got to Khartoum here, and from Khartoum to Wadi Alpha, which is here. Most people put their motorbikes on a train from Khartoum up here, or the brave ones follow the railway up. But I didn't, neither of them. I thought I would ride up here and pick the Nile up, but I got into a sandstorm and I was lost for 2 weeks. I nearly finished up into Chad. I was going this way, but when I did get out, I got out at a place called Old Dongola. I was very tired. I had nothing to eat for the last 3 days and only 1 litre of water. If I hadn't got out the day I did, I would have been somewhere around here covered in sand. But when I got out, I was teaching at the Muslim school for about a week, English. Then I carried on up to Aswan, and then got a boat on the River Nile to Wadi Alpha up to Aswan. And then from Aswan, I went all the way through Egypt, Cairo. Then I thought I'd try to get to the other side, but they wouldn't let me into Alexandria, into Libya. So I came back, got robbed in Egypt, but I just had enough money to get a ferry to Cyprus, where I got some money wired to me. Then I got a ferry to Greece, and then Italy, and then I rode home. And that was 1 year, so I was only 8 months late. Then when I got home here, I had a letter from the BSA Owners Club that was going to have a rally in Australia, where that is.
It's over there.
There. Well, Australia for 2 months. And they was going to land in Melbourne here, and it was very cheap to send your bike. So I said, I'm not sending my old BSA, I'm sending my Africa Twin. And I will not come back with you, I will ride back. And they was going for 2 months. So I thought I could ride around Australia in less than 2 months and get back before them. But I don't have any GPSs or maps or anything. So I thought, because it's an island, if I keep the water to my left hand side, I'm all right. So I kept the water to the left, all the way round, all the way round. When I got to Perth, I went down into Kalgoorlie, the biggest hole in the world for the gold. Then came back back to Perth, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. All these peninsulas I went up till I got to Darwin, and then I came across here. And when I got to Borroloola, I came down to Ayers Rock and did Simpson Desert, 9 weeks in Simpson Desert, Birdsville, Cooper Pedy, back up to Pinnacles, McDonnell Range, and then back up to where I come from, and then up to Normanton and Currumpa, back across to Cairns, and right up to Cape York, right to the top. Then did this all zigzagged my way all in and out here, and I got back to Melbourne where I set off from, and I had some time left on my visa, so then I went to Tasmania and did the same there. And then there's 2 islands called North and South Bruny Island here. I did that, And then from there, I came back to Tasmania, got the ferry back to Melbourne, and I was there for 1 year, not 2 months, but 1 year, and I was late. So I thought, well, if you're late, you're late. And I'd done 32,000 miles. And I thought, because I'm so near New Zealand here, I will go to New Zealand. So then I came to New Zealand and rode to the top of the North Island and the bottom about 5 times. I stopped on D'Urville Island, which is an island just off the South Island here, of 3 weeks there. Then came back down here to Stewart Island, I was on there. And then from Stewart Island I came back up to Auckland here, and then I shipped it. I thought I will go to South America, seeing as I'm down here. So then I shipped it from South America, from New Zealand, to Buenos Aires, La Pala, Buenos Aires here. I then came down here, in and out, in and out, in and out, till I got to Peninsula Valdez, and then in 1865, the Welsh farmers was offered farms in Argentina, and they arrived there, and they followed the first freshwater river into the sea, which is called Chubut Valley, and I followed them right on to nearly to Chile, and the last place is Trevelyan. I stopped there and I went to the Welsh choir practice, which they still have there, and there's ancestors still there. They still have border collie dogs and taught Welsh a bit on mountains round there, because it's a bit like Wales. And then from there I zigzagged my way down right to the most southernest point in South America on Terra del Fuego, a place called Ushuaia. But it was winter. They have the winter in our summer. It's July, and it's completely opposite because they're south of the equator. And it took me 3 days to get out with the snow out of Ushuaia to the mountains here. And then I came back up into Chile, snowing very hard. I got a boat up here, and then I went from Chile over to Argentina, to Bariloche, then zigzagged me around Argentina. I then went into Uruguay, round Uruguay. I went into Brazil here, round here. Then I went to Paraguay, and then carried on round Brazil and up to Rio and Copacabana and Ilha Grande, and then carried on zigzagging all up and down Brazil till I went into Bolivia, came south down in Bolivia to Salta, the Unisalte, the big salt flats, and a big mountain where they get gold out, which is close. Did all round Bolivia, up into Lake Titicaca, La Paz, and then carried on into Peru. In the Andes I stopped mainly, but when I got a bit fed up I came down to the sea and then back up again, and then into Ecuador, and then all Ecuador I did, and then into Colombia, did all Colombia, and then into Venezuela, and then from Venezuela I came down the Orinoco, following Orinoco to the border of Colombia, but I didn't go into Colombia from there. I turned round and zigzagged my way back up and got to the top of Venezuela and got a boat to Trinidad and Tobago. I did Trinidad and Tobago islands here, but then I needed to get across to Panama. There was a ship called the sailing ship Jaguar, registered in Hull. It used to be a Hull fishing boat that went to Iceland, and the owners was Australian, and they had taken 15 years converting it from a Hull trawler to a 3-masted tall ship, but they had no engineer on, and they had to get through the Panama Canal, and they was a bit worried. It was about 150 foot long and 650 ton fully loaded. So I said, I'll put my motorbike on and I'll be on mechanic free and I'll get you through the Panama Canal, then I can get off there and ride on to Alaska. And they said, oh, that's good, we'll do that. So when I got through Panama Canal, they asked me if I'd stay on to New Zealand, because there was still a lot of work to do on it when they set off. They hadn't finished down in the engine room and lots of welding to do all over. And I said, but it's about 4 years ago I left New Zealand. I told you I was on my way to Alaska. They said, well, we're going to spend 7 months in all the islands in the Pacific. So I said, okay, then I'll go back. And they said, well, don't you want to think about it? I said, I've just thought about it. I'll go back to New Zealand. I'll go with you in the Pacific for 7 months. So we did the Galapagos Islands, all French Polynesia. I don't know where they are on this, but we did Tahiti, Bora Bora, Rarotonga, Iwo Hova, Tahiti, I just said that. Oh, round here. Finished up at Fiji was the last place.
Did you get your bike off and have a ride around on these islands?
No, because the islands were so small,
Oh, right.
the boat couldn't get in, and it was so big. So we just had to drop down the lifeboat, which is a dinghy, and go in, and then. But it didn't take me long to find some boys with motorbikes and tell them, and they Googled me, and they saw all about me, and then they lent me their bikes, so I rode all the way around. So when I got back to New Zealand, all my friends there thought, where's New Zealand gone? Well, there, got back to New Zealand. When I got back to New Zealand, they thought I should be in Alaska. And I said I should. So then I shipped my bike from New Zealand, which had taken 7 months to get from Trinidad to here, all the way back to Panama. And then I flew out, picked it up, then I carried on. I rode round Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua. I went on Lake Nicaragua. It's the only place in the world where they have freshwater sharks, and there's an island on there, and I was on the island for about 3 weeks. And then all around Honduras, El Salvador, which is there, Belize, Mexico, into USA. Although I'm going up to Alaska, I came round to Key West, and then back up again, and then all Alaska, part of Canada. It was winter because it was snowing, and then, or just finishing winter, sorry, and then I came up to Whitehorse, right up to Anchorage, and up right to the top of Alaska here. In 2009 I got there, and I started in 2003 from the bottom of Argentina, South America, Ushuaia. So it had only taken me 6 years to get there, which is very quick for me. And then I rode round back to Anchorage. I was told that I could get a aeroplane to take me from Anchorage to Magadan, Aeroflot, but they'd stopped running 3 years previous. So then I thought, well, I'll just carry on riding around Alaska. So I had more time, rode around Alaska, and as the winter was coming in, I made my way back down into Vancouver Island. I was on for 4 weeks, and then up into Jasper, and then down from Jasper to Brad Creek, and I stopped there the winter to check my bike over, because it's too late then to get from Canada to Vladivostok, which is over here somewhere. To Vladivostok, there to Vladivostok. So in April I checked my bike there, and I flew into Vladivostok in April. And when I got there, the sea round here was all frozen, and they thought I was crazy. So I set off then, and I went north into the snow, and I went up and down, all the way around to Lake Baikal here, I got a ferry onto the big island on Lake Baikal, and there again it's the only place in the world where they have freshwater seals. From there I goes down to Mongolia, and I couldn't get in because I only had 6 months left on my visa, so I wasn't bothered. So I carried on round Russia, and my idea was to get into Kazakhstan and go by all these Stan countries back home. But they wouldn't let me into Kazakhstan because I haven't got a year on my visa, which I didn't care. So I carried on and up, and then to Ukraine. I went right around Ukraine, even to Sevastopol here, around here, and then I came into Moldova here, around Moldova, Romania, Bulgaria, then into Turkey here, and then it was snowing. In fact, I stopped in Bulgaria for 2 weeks on the coast here at Burgas because the weather was so bad and the roads was blocked with snow and ice. So I thought I'll have to get south. So I left Greece, came back round here and into Greece, into southern Greece down here, stopped there for a few months, and then made my way back up into Macedonia, and then into Kosovo, and then Serbia, and then into to Albania, Montenegro, then back into Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Hungary, Slovakia, Slovenia, Czech Republic, Austria, back into Slovenia, then to Italy, and down to Sicily, down at the bottom, back up again, and into Spain, round into Spain, and up right to the top corner of Spain, then into top of Portugal, did all Portugal, then round the bottom of Spain, Granada, and all the way these mountains, and then into France, Pyrenees, and then into Switzerland, and then into Luxembourg, and then Germany, and then Belgium, then Holland, then Belgium, then Holland, and then I got the ferry to England, to Hull, and rode that straight to Manchester to motorbike show on M62. It was snowing and freezing when I went over there, I think about 4th of January. And then I came back home, and that just took 14 years and 400,000 kilometres, and made me about 35 years younger. And I'm now ready for my next trip. Soon as I get, I'm looking for another second-hand motorbike. My motorbike, it's a 1991 Honda Africa Twin. I did 400,000 miles on this trip. Before then, as I say, it's a 91, and I left in 99, so it were 8 years old. I'd done roughly about 30 or 40,000 miles before that, so it's 30 or 40,000 miles plus this 400,000 kilometres. So the bike would go around the world again, but I don't want anything to happen to it, have an accident or get stolen, because when I'm dead they'll make a film on me, and I don't want them to use no cheap old bikes. They can use my Africa Twin, so I'm going to buy another one same as that, and end of April, May, before I get too old, I want to ride across here and go into Kazakhstan. I have a new passport now. I can do all Kazakhstan, into Russia for a bit, then back into Mongolia, do all Mongolia, back into Russia, then back down to Vladivostok, and then here, and then get the ferry to Korea, and I don't know where I'm going after Korea, but that I'll sort that out when I get there. I'd like to get to Thailand and Cambodia and all these places and ride around back home that way, but that's up now.